Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So the Turquoise bus is gone. Owner came and picked it up today and he's very happy with the brakes and everything else that we did. So that's good. Obviously we want him to be happy with his bus, so we do what we got to do to make that happen. Let me see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the other thing that I did this morning was his front suspension was squeaking a little bit or making some noises. So this morning I went and re-lubed all that up and got rid of that. And yeah, so no, he's very happy. The only thing is he does have some front tire rubbing. We're not sure. I suspect it's on the inside. And we had talked about putting some spacers on that bus to space the front wheels out because it does have a 2-inch narrow beam, but then it has regular bus wheels, so they do kind of sit in pretty far because of their spacing. So not a big deal. We'll fix that whenever he's ready. But in the meantime, yeah, he's very happy, and yeah, I'm very happy for him because he's been waiting a long time for that bus. So other than that, today. It's amazing how long sometimes some of this stuff takes, but I pretty much spent the rest of the day getting this motor ready to put in, and stuff always takes longer than you'd think it would, but let me try and go in chronological order here what I did. So I did fit the tin on the front of the motor here. It went on pretty easily. The front tin here, this thing, I don't know what it's called even, like the snorkel air outlet, whatever, this triangle piece, I think as most people call it. Those all went on pretty easily, so that's always nice. I didn't have to wrestle them too much. Holes lined up pretty well, all that good stuff. I did, before I put that on, actually, now that I think about it, I pulled the fan shroud and the alternator. I mentioned yesterday that after I tightened everything up, the fan in there did start rubbing. Again, when you tighten things up, sometimes the backing plate here may flex a little bit, or it doesn't really take much, and so it caused rubbing. So added a couple shims, got it back together, got everything tightened up, and good to go now. So it happens sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, I got that on, rid of that rubbing on there. Got the front engine tins here all squared away, and then I don't know what it is. I guess it's an aftermarket pulley thing, but aftermarket crank pulleys seem like they almost never line up well with the alternator. And so when I first put this together, I don't know if you can see, everything's black, but if you can see the line between the alternator pulley and the crank pulley, it was literally terrible. Like, I swear it was almost like the alternator pulley was out like a 1/4 inch compared to the crank pulley, which is just not acceptable. The fan belt would wear really fast, and it's just not how you want it. So I've actually got it pretty good now, happy with that. But I did end up having to put a spacer between the crank pulley and the crank. That spaces it out about probably like 1/8 of an inch. I didn't actually measure those spacers, but they're just the ones that are commonly available. So that helps some. And then I think it's probably also an issue with these aftermarket fan shrouds. I almost feel like these fan shrouds almost like tilt this way and kind of push the alternator out this way, which kind of also exacerbates it. So usually what I do is I'll loosen up this clamp here and then get something kind of between the alternator or generator stand here and kind of pry on the lower part of the backing plate here, kind of pry that way. And while I'm holding pressure on that, then go ahead and tighten up this clamp. And you'd be surprised. You can get this thing to go back, like 2 or 3 millimeters by doing that. But if you just tighten things down with everything kind of in equilibrium without prying on anything, then the alternator on these, or generator, tends to be kind of that way. And then again, I think these aftermarket pulleys just don't really sit right. Anyway, so between those two things, I got the alignment here, happy with it. And then I was messing around with, I don't know if you'll be able to see that from anywhere. Let's see. Yeah, you can't really see. You can kind of see the bracket for it, which is right there. So that's the crank position sensor, or that's the bracket. The actual sensor is kind of back here where you can't see it. Anyway, that wasn't really lined up that great with the little steel inserts on the pulley. So I spent some time kind of spacing that and futzing around with it and getting it to where it lined up really nice with the little metal, basically they're screw heads on the back of the pulley. There's two of them on there. So yeah, I just had to kind of play around with that, fine tune it, make sure that we were going to get a good signal, because the crank position is what tells the motor pretty much when to do everything. So pretty important. So got that squared away, and then put all the tin back on, and it's all on for good now. Let's see what else. So now the coil is all wired. You can see some wires down there. So those basically, it's basically wired into the fuel injection system. The only other wire that will go to the coil will be the wire from the stock wiring harness that provides 12 volts when the ignition key is turned on. And so that'll come from the stock wiring harness around this way, and kind of routed up neatly under here. That'll go on the positive side of the coil. So that does a couple things. One is it does supply power to the coil. The other is also connected on the positive side here is the lead for the EFI system that tells it to turn on. So that's what you want when you turn on the key and get 12 volts. That wakes up the EFI system. And then the other one is power for a relay for the oil cooler fan. And so those are hooked up on there already. And then again, the 12 volt key on will come here from the stock harness. And then the trigger of the coil is this yellow one you can see here. So that is controlled by the EFI system. So basically the wires from the trigger inside the distributor, you don't use them, because again, it's all triggered by the EFI system via the crank position sensor down here. And so basically this thing, all it does is the rotor spins around in there, and when it tells it to, it sends spark to their respective plugs. So there's no sensing in here anymore as far as crank position. So yeah, got all that stuff wired up, and then got some other stuff wired up here, and I'm using the late model VW style connectors here just to be consistent with how the car's wired up. So this relay here is, well, this is the connector for the relay. This is for the oil cooler fan. So the EFI system controls that and tells that fan when to turn on, and it's programmable, so you can set it however you want it. And the coolant temperature, in our case oil temperature, is this sender right here. So we can program it so that when the oil temp hits, say 200, then boom, it sends a signal to this relay that'll attach here, and then that in turn turns on the fan that's up underneath the car where the external oil cooler is. So it's all kind of slick. It's all very, I don't know, I guess modern in the sense of the computer kind of controlling everything. It's sort of calling all the shots. So yeah, I pretty much got all that stuff wired up and ready to plug into the car. So the motor now, other than I've got to put the spark plugs in it, I think is literally the last thing that I want to do while the motor is out of the car. And other than that, I believe it is ready to go in. The carbs and manifolds will come back off. They're just kind of finger tight on there now. And then pretty much the motor will go in complete minus the carbs and manifolds into the car with the transmission. And then start connecting stuff, put the carbs and manifolds back on, and start, plugging in the injectors and the various sensors for the EFI system and so on. So planning to do that maybe early to mid next week. This thing should finally be going in. So very exciting. And again, huge milestone for this car. Once the engine and transmission are in it, then there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel here for finishing this thing up. So pretty exciting. So other than that, Octavio and team, I believe, finished all the upholstery on the mouse gray bus. It's still over in their shop. I'll probably bring it over, if not this weekend, then I'll bring it over Monday and show you guys that. It looks amazing. And so that was happening today. And that is it. So I will definitely be here tomorrow, having a guy that we use sometimes. He's going to come in and he's going to polish the 67 here. It's fresh paint job. He's going to color sand and buff it and get that ready to do the undercoating on it. So yeah, so I will be here again tomorrow, guys. So keep your eyes out. There will be a Saturday episode this week. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.